Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
I'd long stopped counting the number of times my name had been forgotten at family gatherings. If my sister Molly sneezed, the room fluttered with concern. If I got promoted, no one even looked up. To them, I was the quiet shadow behind her golden light. Useful, dependable, invisible. When the invitation to Molly's 30th anniversary gala arrived, embossed in gold and perfumed like a royal decree, I almost didn't go. But something inside me, maybe stubborn hope, maybe longing, whispered, maybe this time will be different. The ballroom shimmered with crystal chandeliers and laughter loud enough to drown thought. I arrived in a navy gown, modest but elegant. The moment my mother saw me, her smile flickered. "Oh, Scarlett," she said, brushing invisible lint off my shoulder. "Try to stand straighter next to Molly, dear. The cameras love confidence." Molly appeared moments later, radiant in silver sequins. "Scarlett," she exclaimed, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You came. How sweet." Her words tasted like syrup hiding a blade. I forced a polite smile. "Wouldn't miss your big day." Her husband Dean chuckled. "Still working those long hours at the logistics firm, huh? Must be nice to have a hobby." "A career," I corrected softly, "not a hobby." Before I could walk away, the microphone screeched, and my father's booming voice filled the hall. "Ladies and gentlemen, before we toast, I have a surprise announcement." I froze, a faint unease crawling up my spine. He never announced anything without an agenda. He raised his glass. "Tonight, in a gesture of love and sisterhood, my daughter Scarlett has decided to gift her lakeside villa to her beloved sister Molly." Applause erupted. The hall trembled with cheers and camera flashes. I stood still, my glass slipping from my hand, shattering against marble. "What?" The word escaped as a whisper. Molly feigned astonishment. "Scarlett, you didn't tell me." My heart thudded. Gift. That villa was mine. Bought with years of late nights and sacrifice. My pulse roared in my ears as my mother clapped gracefully, her eyes gleaming with something cold and calculated. In that blinding moment, surrounded by applause for a crime I hadn't committed, one thought tore through my shock. They've planned this. They've planned everything. And as the crowd cheered for my generosity, I realized, tonight, my silence could destroy me or expose them all. "Scarlett, stand up." My mother hissed between her teeth, her smile frozen for the cameras. "You're ruining your sister's moment." I couldn't move. My legs felt anchored to the marble floor as 270 guests turned toward me. Journalists, investors, socialites, their faces painted with polite curiosity. I managed to whisper, "Dad, what are you talking about?" Gregory chuckled into the microphone, his voice oozing authority. "Oh, don't be modest, sweetheart. We even have the paperwork right here." An assistant handed him a silver folder. On the giant LED screen behind him, a scanned deed appeared, complete with my signature. Gasps rippled through the hall. "That's impossible," I breathed. "I never signed this." Molly pressed a manicured hand to her chest. "Scarlett, you didn't tell me. You're really giving me your villa?" Tears burned my eyes. "Molly, you know I didn't." My father's gaze hardened. "Enough, Scarlett. Don't embarrass yourself. We both know you agreed. You owe your family for everything we've done for you." "Owe them? For what?" Their silence, their comparisons, their constant dismissal? A trembling laugh escaped my lips, part disbelief, part heartbreak. Cameras flashed, capturing the exact moment my life's work was stolen under chandeliers and applause. I saw pity in a few guests' eyes, but no one spoke. No one dared. I turned toward my mother. "You forged it, didn't you?" I whispered. "You all did." Her smile never wavered. "Sweetheart, family is about sacrifice." Something inside me cracked. The years of quiet obedience, the swallowed tears, the endless need for approval, they all broke loose in that instant. I wiped my eyes and looked straight into the cameras. My voice trembled, but my words cut through the air. "I don't gift my home to thieves." The room froze, and somewhere deep inside, I realized that everything was just beginning. "Enough," my father thundered. "Security, take her out." Two guards in black suits moved toward me. The murmurs in the ballroom grew into a low hum of discomfort. Pity, curiosity, fear. No one dared to interfere. My pulse pounded in my ears as I stepped back. clutching the edge of the table. "Don't touch me," I said quietly. My voice trembled but didn't break. Gregory sneered. "You're making a fool of yourself. This is a family celebration, not your tantrum." Then, from the far end of the room, a calm, commanding voice cut through the noise. "Touch her and you'll regret it." The crowd turned. Lincoln Lloyd stood near the press section, composed and steady, his presence alone enough to silence the room. My colleague, my superior, my only ally who truly knew my worth. "Mr. Holt," Lincoln said evenly, "perhaps you forgot that the villa by the lake is part of Scarlett Holt's executive compensation package. It's under a corporate protection clause, legally untouchable without board approval." My father's face blanched. "What nonsense are you?" Lincoln raised a document. "I have a copy of her contract right here, signed and sealed. Any attempt to transfer ownership without consent constitutes fraud under Section 8B of corporate property law." Gasps swept through the crowd. Molly's fake smile faltered. My mother's hands tightened around her wine glass. Gregory stammered, "You can't. This was a family matter." Lincoln's gaze hardened. "You made it public the moment you turned it into a spectacle." I felt tears sting my eyes, not from weakness but relief. For the first time, someone stood between me and their cruelty. And as Lincoln turned to me, his voice softened. "You don't owe them anything, Scarlett." In that instant, I realized my family's power was finally cracking, and I wasn't alone anymore. Lies. My mother screamed, her diamond necklace trembling against her throat. "You set this up, Lincoln. You and that ungrateful girl." Lincoln didn't even flinch. "The truth doesn't need staging, Mrs. Holt. It speaks for itself." Gregory's face turned crimson. "You think you can humiliate us in our own house?" He lunged forward, but the cameras caught every second, his fury, his trembling hands, his mask slipping before hundreds of guests. Then Molly snapped. "You ruined everything." She shrieked, storming toward me. Her eyes were wild, her perfect hair unraveling as she struck my arm. "You always wanted to destroy me. Stop it, Molly," I cried, my voice breaking. "All I ever wanted was peace." The hall exploded with gasps, shouts, flashes. My chest heaved. My vision blurred, until instinct took over. I reached into my clutch and pressed a small silver button hidden in the lining. A low hum filled the room. Then, on the massive LED screen behind the stage, a video began to play. My father's voice first. "She'll never know. We'll tell her it's a family gift." Then my mother's soft laugh. "By the time she realizes the villa will be Molly's, she won't fight us. She never does." I saw all this by chance and wrote it down 3 hours before the celebration began. Silence. You could hear the music die mid-note, the clink of a single glass hitting the floor. Molly froze, pale as ash. My father stumbled back, his mouth opening and closing without sound. Reporters raised their phones. The live stream captured everything. Lincoln's calm voice broke through the chaos. "That's called evidence." Tears streamed down my face, not of sadness this time, but release. Years of silence finally found their sound. And as the flashing lights turned into police sirens outside, I knew the night my family tried to destroy me would become the night I set myself free. I slipped past the remaining guests, my heels clicking softly against the marble floor, weaving through a trail of stunned whispers and flashing cameras. The police were still taking statements. Reporters lingered near the exit, murmuring about forged deeds and live-streamed humiliations. Gregory and Carol's empire crumbled before my eyes. Partners pulled out, contracts dissolved, and their reputation shattered. Molly sat in stunned silence, clutching her hands, realizing too late how fragile their world had been. My heart thumped, equal parts adrenaline and relief. Every step away from the ballroom felt like shaking off chains. Lincoln fell into stride beside me. "The villa is secure," he murmured, handing me a coat. Lincoln's hand on my shoulder grounded me. "The board seat at Lloyd Financial is officially yours," he said, his voice steady but warm. "You earned this." "I'll take it," I whispered. The car ride was a blur, headlights cutting through the mist, the city fading behind us. I clutched the seat as though it could hold the weight of everything I'd endured. For the first time in years, I wasn't performing, wasn't shrinking to fit someone else's image. When we arrived, the gates swung open silently. The villa by the lake rose before me, serene and untouched, the water reflecting dawn's first light. I stepped onto the balcony, feeling the crisp air on my face, and for the first time allowed myself to exhale fully. I was free. Sometimes the greatest victories come when the world thinks you're powerless.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.